Good to go, Bill?
Divulge. So they're.
All right, it is 7:05. We're doing delays with the IT issues on the old camera and system. This will be going into the archives, and anybody needs to access it can access it on the website. That's what it is. This should be the last meeting with that device back there, and from now on, we'll be using this for all the audio visual for the town, and it will be on Team, right?
Teams the platform, it'll still be available on the town website.
Okay, so that's the way it goes on that. Just for the record, because of the way the AI transcribes on this, I'll have the three of us introduce ourselves, because if not, the person who set this up, their voice on the transcript will come up as their name running the whole meeting. So, my name's Toby Harmon, I'm chair of the board.
Catherine Tarnowski.
Mark Casper.
Okay, so we covered that admin aspect of this. It says 7 o'clock first season, but we're gonna say 7:06 for first seasons. You are up, sir.
Yes, my name is Ron Kelly. I am one of the owners of First Seasons Pet Resort and Spa, located at 12 Main Street in Newfields. And I am here to follow up from the last meeting. We have set everything up. We've submitted our application to the Liquor Commission in the state. We are waiting to hear back from them. They're going to give us a call with a date for inspection, which could be any day. And we have set everything up with the police department, Officer Blaze, and the letter of assembly, which obviously was part of the application process.
Because I do have permanent assembly from the chief of the fire department. I do have an email from the chief of the police, and I do have a copy of your document with the Liquor Commission, as well as the town's conditional approval. I think we're good to go. We'll talk about it here in a second. But once we get that definitive answer from the Liquor Commission, we're good to go.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, anything you want to add or ask?
No.
All right, in that case, I'll make a motion to, for the permit to go forward.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, to go, just make sure when you get that document from the Liquor Commission, you get a copy of that to us, so we can move forward on that. And we'll have,
Okay.
it's
Sounds
done
good.
on once, paper given paper. And we'll have everything in place.
All right.
All right, thank you, sir.
Take care. Thank you.
Mr. Frame.
I'll move closer to you. So a couple items for the landing. One is we had 8 yards of gravel put down, stone, 3/4 stone, put down there last year. We started it. It's kind of like, didn't get finished, so this year we just want to put the rest of the stone down there. That, it's all marked off. Talked to Brian about it. He do it. I think he just needs approval from you guys, I think.
Say again.
He just needs approval from you guys. I'm not sure how it works. So he can do it, we'll spread it, not a big deal. Just need to put it down. And I'd love to get that done before Memorial Day. We had the ceremony down there, looked nice. Another thing is, I sent over documents to you guys, I don't know if you saw it, but want to make a sign for the Eagle Scout project that was done for the kayak rack saying, all watercraft must be clearly marked, the owner's name and contact number. More information, you contact the town. Town said, hey, Sue, I believe, has the stickers, Coast Guard stickers that people can put on boats, because none of the boats are really marked. Some people, I asked them to put phone numbers on, but just for safety reasons, Boss Kayak, police, fire chief, one of them lose it.
So the bottom line, the point being that if you find a kayak out in the middle of the water, they're not looking for.
They're not looking, yeah.
Who is in the kayak? You know,
So they know who to contact, right? See if it floated away or if there was somebody.
Yep.
So that's, I went on a sign, Google, got a sign for $37. I can buy that, put it up, on the stand, you guys don't mind, reimburse me, great. Okay, cool. Big stuff here.
It's your donation to the town.
Yeah. Then the last thing is on the landing website, I think that we should just put that verbiage on the website too, something. So I don't know who helps me with that or how that gets done.
Talk to Sue.
Town website.
And Billy, you can probably help them with the kitchen.
I don't know how the website works.
Okay.
Nicely done. Just kidding. I'll assume.
I mean, there's information, there is a bylaw.
Working on it.
Okay, there is a bylaws already on there. requirements of school, but I'd like to add this. And just maybe a picture of the sticker that you get for free from Citi.
That would be helpful.
Not too hard. And then the last thing is, once I do that, I'll send out a note to the people that I know have boat, kayaks, and canoes on it. I don't know everybody, but I'll try and get people. But I'd also ask Sue, hey, on our email blast, if you have a boat down there, please do this. But I think there's been a couple boats that just, I know I fall down in the woods to put them up just because they're flying bank. But more people have asked to put kayaks and things down there. It's kind of like also, it's great to get out of your yard, into that place, but if you're not using it, that's not fair to the other people. So I think as we move forward, I kind of have to lay out a yearly, hey, you're not using it, come on, let somebody else. And I've already had a bunch of people ask, it's filled, right? And I'm like, yeah, we're not building another one, because it's really nice of you to get a kayak out of your yard. Leave it down, so that there is a, what I call a tin boat, but there's my tin boat that was put dock in and rescue people that live on mud occasionally. No names. But like, there's somebody else just dropped the boat off, and I can get one of the officers to come down. Mine, the tin boat that I use is on the trailer, but there's one that was left there. And it's got registration, so we can just find out who it is. Sure. Hey, it's got motors and everything, like, just kind of dropped off. It looks really nice probably down there, but not in their yard, and I think that was a reason to put there.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's moved there it's in its forever home, you know what I mean?
All right,
Not good.
is that it, Lynn?
That is it for me.
All right.
Well, context.
In that case, I'll make a motion to approve the 8 yards of 3/4 minus coming from Brian for the fill, and I guess we'll reimburse William for the sign.
Second.
All in favor? Mr. Frame, you are all set.
Thank you.
Lieutenant Blaze, you are on the dime, sir.
Chief Young came to the board at the last meeting regarding the highway safety grant for a handheld radar unit. That was to replace one that was 20 years old, needed to be repaired, it was going to cost like $500. The highway grant is a 75% match. So the amount the town would pay, 25%, is actually less than it would cost to repair a 20-year-old unit. So when the chief came before the board, got approval, apparently it wasn't officially approved on the state through their chain. So they asked that to have it memorialized in the select board minutes, come back before the board to get approval again, that the town accept the grant officially with the 75% match.
All right, in that case, any questions?
No.
In that case, I'll make a motion to accept the grant. All in favor?
We're approving the additional money.
It's a payment.
It's the same money, it's $1,645 is the cost of the unit, so the grant would cover 75% of that.
Okay.
And we're paying $411.25.
Yeah.
That's what it costs us. So I'll make a motion to accept this.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Stand on, we just sign, get this out of here. LT, while I'm doing this, talk about 108 opening up tomorrow at 07, correct?
So that's the latest information I have. So they were paving the railroad crossing in New Market earlier today. They have to wait for the pavement to cool down before they can officially let traffic on there. So the last I heard was that by 7 a.m. tomorrow, 108 will be officially open. So no promises. This has been a painful battle for us. I appreciate everybody's patience, but that's the last information we heard. Swampscott, still not sure.
They're just waiting for the blacktop to firm up.
Right, so, well, they didn't know if they had enough pavement to do Swampscott today. I haven't been down there this evening yet. When I left earlier this afternoon, they had not done it, so it's likely that that will not be open at 7 a.m. tomorrow, so that may be good. But 108 New Market, the worst of it is, as far as I know, will be open tomorrow.
Roger that. One of the other things that I talked to the chief about, when I just mentioned to you before the meeting, we have a lot of houses in town that do not have street numbers visible from the road. When we had the senior luncheon where you're delivering meals, there were a number of houses without numbers on them. And the life you save may be your own. I cannot stress enough to make sure there's a visible number somewhere on the curb, on a mailbox, on the structure that can be seen in worst case scenario during a nor'easter with a spotlight coming off a fire truck or a cruiser. I would please ask everybody in town to pay attention to that and jump on that. Yes, ma'am.
Christina Davis, live on Hallsville Road. I have a question because I know, and my parents live in a place and the postal office said you had to have a number on your mailbox. And I know not everybody has mailboxes, but isn't that a postal regulation?
It is, but there's some folks that have just let that slide by the wayside because there's a number of mailboxes in town without numbers on them. If you drive around and eyeball it. So,
Okay.
on the door, on the curb, on the mailbox, somewhere it's highly visible. And I can't stress that one enough.
Just
Having
wondering if
responded-
our post office could reinforce that.
You
Maybe.
know,
We should have email, Sue sent out an email blast.
we can do that on that. Having been in a situation, both in the fire department and on the police department, looking for a residence without a number on it, and it's an emergency call, it is not a warm and fuzzy feeling when you're searching, trying to find the place, right, Billy?
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest also not just which direction the mail carrier is coming from on both sides of the mailbox, because it may not be, you know, the police or fire department coming from here, or the fire department could be Epping coming, Newmarket coming from a different direction. So, you know, reflective numbers both sides of the mailbox, if it's on the street, if that's the best access point, or if your house is close to the street, having it reflective numbers so they can be easily seen at night as well.
Even though folks use Waze and GPS can be off.
They're wrong, yeah.
Yeah, like we actually live half a mile from our house. according to so just beat that one to death. Anything to add?
Additionally, because there are pork chop lots, there can be multiple mailboxes that are well marked, and you still don't know which house those mailboxes go to, because they're all on the same side of the street, and there's pork chop lots behind. So it still needs to be on the house itself. You know, even if someone comes half a mile down your driveway, they want to know which house is yours.
All right. Mark, Concom report.
Concom was delayed till May. They postponed the meeting and moving on to May.
What's the date in May?
Don't have that yet.
Did they say?
I don't believe so. So I'll check.
Okay. We got an email the board did last week in regards to CELT and an acknowledgement of the signature because they needed some paperwork yesterday when we received this. Received it on the 15th, and as the chair signed it, it has to be on the docket for tonight, just to be heads up on that. Does anybody have any additional knowledge to add to this?
No.
Okay, so that covers that issue. Let's see what else. We have a town hall rental application set up for 15 May, $75 no alcohol from 6 p.m. until 9:30 p.m. Any input, comments on that?
No.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept that.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, town hall rental. All right, the next item on the agenda is, let's see, we got that, let's taken care of. I want to, Boston Post came, we're waiting for the cane to arrive, it should be here this week, Keish, is that right? It's gonna be here this week?
I think Sue mentioned this.
Yeah, and the only thing that's holding it up is the recipient's availability, whether we're going to have the presentation at her residence or here at the town hall. So as soon as we find that out, we'll make that information available. Okay. And we'll make sure agenda is Health and Human Services contribution. We delayed that from last week, our last select board meeting. We have $3,000 that we budgeted for that. And if I'm amenable to pretty much whatever you guys want to put for input on that, as to who gets what.
Yeah, I think, what did we do? We trimmed down $500 from last year, right?
$650.
$650, okay. So that means we have to just maneuver that $650, right? Or leave it as such, I don't know how that would normally work.
Well, we've got $3,000 in the budget that we can allocate to these people who pay money for us.
So I think, what was it, $1,200? Correct? Yeah,
Are you talking about the Child Advocacy Center?
Yes, so perhaps we can give them 1,000.
I had the same thought,
Yeah.
turn them back, in favor of keeping Ready Rides funded as it was, because I think that's essential for elders who don't drive or can't drive. I wouldn't like to see that happen there.
I had 500 for that.
Oh, for Ready Rides?
Yep.
The increase over the last,
200,
okay.
because that is critical for our seniors to be able to get where they need to get to.
Do we know
Yeah.
how much that it got used when we were
We
continuing?
don't have
to
a feedback on it,
recommend?
but I would wager, having talked to folks involved, that any of it was used. I can't verify that with documentation. How about the Red Cross for 500?
I agree to that one as well, keeping the
Take-
cost the same at 500.
What about going with Rockingham Community Action for 500? We
Community
did
action.
900 last year.
Yeah, I was looking at potentially keeping that at 900 unless we want to talk more about what we would do with the remainder. In that serves people in our community and surrounding communities, like that's a direct support for people with Newfields. But if I left it at 900, I would have 100 left over to look at potentially CASA that didn't get anything from us last year.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I gave 500 to Rockingham Community Action and Rockingham Nutrition Meals on Wheels.
Okay.
So 500 from each of them.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay, are you good with that?
Yeah.
All right, then I'll make a motion that we allocate 500 to the Red Cross, 1,000 to the Child Advocacy Center. Let's see, which one is this?
500.
Ready Rides, 500, and Rockingham Community Action, 500, and Rockingham Nutrition Meals on Wheels, 500, for a total of 3,000. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Good.
Okay, I'll make a motion, that those are the numbers to put forth.
Second.
All in favor? Now, I'm gonna hold off on checks, AP, we got that. We'll do that when we let town hall metal, talk about that. We have a request for an elderly exemption. You should have that in your documents there. We have been through all the numbers and everything is qualified. And that's the scope of what we want to discuss as far as this documentation here. And any comments, observations?
No.
Okay, in that case, I'll make a motion that we grant the exemption as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Then we had a land use change in their tax bill, which we addressed last meeting on the 8th, and all we need was 2 other signatures. We now have those keys, so you're all set on documentation on that one. May meeting dates. You guys want to take a look at that now? All right, bang that out. Going old school here so it doesn't disappear in the IT room. So today's the 22nd, 6 and 20? How does that work?
May 6th and the 20th?
You good with that, Mark?
I think so.
Okay. Okay, so we'll make it, teacher, for the 6th and the 20th of May. Okay. Prior meeting minutes, I would like to make a proposal to hold that to the next. There are a number of corrections that I saw this evening that I submitted to Keisha, so if we can hold that, if you guys are amenable to it,
Sure.
then we'll take care of it at the next select board meeting. Does that work?
Sure.
You good with that? Okay. All right, we're down to open items. Select board, we got inward projects. I've got a few of them here, and we'll just run through if anybody else has anything. 399 Piscassic, we talked about it, we have a bid from Brian Kinnison for $2,500 for full cleanup. You went and got another bid for $3,500. I'll make a motion to accept the $2,500.
Sure.
Second, that's a second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And last week, because we did not have the ability to access the key required for the building, I went up, put a hasp and a padlock on it. Police department has a key, and also Sue has a key if anybody needs to get into the building. One of the other things that happened this week is I got an email, and it's in the board in regards to the cardboard and the 2 dumpsters, and it was heading north with the winds. So I talked to Jimmy Z with Elm, and he moved the dumpsters so they're now perpendicular to the general flow of the wind. And he went down and picked up all the cardboard, so we're going to see how that works, because you'll see the dumpsters are now on the back row back there. And one of the things I ask people to do is when you drop off cardboard, please make sure you shut the lid, because that's one of the issues that's caused all this to blow away, is people putting cardboard in there and not shutting the lids. Now, the wind was rather outrageous past couple days, so it did lift the winds up.
It was overfull.
Yeah, and so just please help out on that. All right, we got that one done. And so on the 17th, last Thursday, I had the pleasure of spending 2 hours at Rockingham Superior Court as the motions to dismiss both of the town and her family farm, and were argued out. It went on for 2 hours, and it was taken under advisement by the bench, and they will make a decision and forward us their decision when they decide they're going to forward us their decision. So we're kind of on the book for that one. One of the things, Mark, if you want, because you've been working with that, if you want to take charge of making liaison with town hall streams. Sure. And find out where we're at as far as accessing our own meeting.
Yep.
And give us a report at the next meeting.
Yeah. Part of that is going to be just connecting the streams with the website also. I've been talking with Sue about upgrading the website itself. May not cost any money because they're moving from one format to another. Civic Plus site host. So hopefully we'll be able to nudge them to make it very user-friendly. So the streaming will be on there. You'll be able to sign up to receive information on other things. Hopefully it'll be fantastic, but that remains to be seen.
All right, so you've got that for action for the next board meeting. The final thing that transpired this week is both Sue and I were served as the town. There was a resident in town who was challenging the ZBA decision in regards to Vernon Family Farm. We talked to town council about that, but just to put that out in the open, that that's the status of where it's at. So I really don't want to go into any more detail until we've been cleared by council as regards to moving forward on it. All right, that covers everything I have on the agenda. Ma'am, do you have anything?
Sure. I received communication from the Lusting crews around their ongoing traffic concerns and another, there's a group of residents in the downtown area with similar concerns. Nothing to do with detours, nothing to do with road work, and looking to work collaboratively with the town and getting together. I don't know if you want to speak or you just want to listen, but you know, I know you've shared your concerns directly with a number of people, but one of the suggestions that I had made was for everyone to have similar concerns, come together and talk, and then maybe brainstorm strategies and work together with the town on what's possible to address your concerns. And you've already been in touch with the police regularly on this, so you know, you can speak more about that if you'd like to.
Yeah, just Dave Lucinger, 92 Exeter Road. Even when Bill was taking down the monitor that was on our property, the electronic monitors for speeds, even while we were talking, people were blowing by him like he wasn't even there. It's pretty bad. We've had people coming out of town going 47, 52 miles an hour on the top of the hill and then accelerating. I mean, it's pretty scary. So, and we've talked to a number of our residents, our neighbors who are also on this road, who expressed the same view. So we kind of like to, bring it up to the select board and see if there's something we can do. I don't know, stop signs or something. I did speak with Mike when I first met him, and I understand it's a state road. So I did call the state. I did talk to the transportation guy, Mr. O'Connell, and his remarks to me was, well, whatever the town would like us to do, we'd be more than happy to work with you guys to get it done. So I'd like to bring that up maybe at the next board meeting with some of the other residents.
I would say we're happy to meet with them, other residents, if there's, obviously I spoke with you folks about your concerns. We had the radar sign there for several months. Just took it down, we relocated it a little bit further down Main Street, ahead of this detour stuff. And again, to keep it in the area to address your concerns. We downloaded the data. I haven't had a chance to go through and analyze it to see the full statistics of the results of that. But that's certainly something I can do. But we're happy to meet with the residents and to brainstorm and see what they have for ideas and what their specific concerns are that we can.
One of the things I'll offer to you, sir, is we spoke with the state probably 18 months ago because it had been requested for the speed limit to be dropped in town. The state replied that after their traffic studies, and having talked with Concord myself about it, that they think this traffic in town, if they do a traffic study, there's a good potential that instead of being at 30, they're going to bump it to 35 or 40.
Yeah, we've heard that too. I mean, this town is also a beautiful little hamlet, and let me finish. Okay, go ahead. I hope you let me a chance to talk to you.
The state said that it would be well within their purview to bump that speed limit up to 35 or 40. We spoke to them because what we wanted to do was put crossing by the church there, put crossing signs out there. And it was basically the information that we received from the state was proceed on that at your own risk. So I'm not sure that's a bear that we want to poke. I think 30 miles an hour is an acceptable speed limit through town. The numbers that I've received from the police department averages what, Billy? 30?
The average was 30 miles an hour.
With an occasional oddball coming through when you had 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
could have been a cruiser coming through.
Yeah, there were some hires, there was some of the 50s, but, without looking at fully analyzing the data,
Understand.
it's tough to.
Well, I can tell you from having that sign on my property, and us being, I'm retired, so I'm there every day. There's no way that everybody's going 30 miles an hour. There's no way that the average is 30 miles an hour. People, as soon as they get to the top of that hill, they take off. And even people going from Piscassic, half of them don't even stop at the stop sign. And they just...
And you brought this all to the attention of the chief?
Yes. Oh, I've talked to Bill, and I've also talked to Wayne, yes.
The four of us have, because we were there the day that the monitor and the speed limit sign was put up in November. Since then, it's been very nice. We saw the two of you and the others at Coffee with the cop. And I know the two of you were together the other day. We were taking it down to relocate. When you mentioned this, I just have to say, when you mentioned this about the average of 30 miles an hour, I don't know when that data was collected, but I would have to say, yes, Dave is absolutely right. We see that from our living room. We see it from in our yard, and we're there a lot because we're working on a home that we need to dedicate our every day to. And something must have changed since that 30 mile an hour average, because there maybe are 10% of the people that are keeping the speed. We feel, I would have to say, that the average, based on what we've seen, is more like 36.
Yeah.
Then there are people busting through and it's over 40 miles an hour. We see them coming from the hill, from right here. And the sign is already getting their speed. And they are in this town going over close to 40 and sometimes even more. We saw 47 the other day. I also want to comment that there is a culture, and maybe it's happening everywhere, but I don't think it's right. But I literally had a man see me waiting, carrying my dog on a Sunday morning, and he gave me the finger and looked right at me and slowed down to do so. And all I was doing, because he was coming out of the town.
At 47.
I wrote it down at the time so that if you want to look at your stats from the monitor, yes, that was a 47 mile an hour person. And I live here. This is my home, and this is my front yard. And everybody, I'm looking at you, Lieutenant, only just because we know you best. I don't know if the representation here with everything going on. I don't mean to direct it, but I do. But, you know, there are such lovely areas of Newfields. That's why we're living here, and we love that we are living here. But this whole street is comprised of primarily people who live here. Their homes, their historic homes, that they are doing everything like what we're doing to lovingly keep them in such beautiful condition. And it's a treasure. And it's like the perception when you are walking around, or even others driving here, it's gorgeous and it's a beautiful, beautiful place, but what's going on the road does not match it. There's school children that we see at risk. There are other drivers that we see at risk. I feel that it's a traffic and safety concern that other neighbors have already shared with us through getting to know one another and finding common ground of, you know, what do you love here, what's happening, what's going on. And so I think knowing that Dave spoke to someone, and that was because we had a call about a driveway that we don't have, that led up to another conversation, but hearing the feedback from that encourages me that there should be a way that we all should be able to share the information, share one another's ideas, and come up with some solutions to improve a very difficult situation for all of us. So that's
I think, you know, we got a 3 mile strip between 108 and 101. It doesn't have a stop sign, doesn't have a stoplight. And I think now people are starting to realize, hey, this is, you know, GPS tells you to go this way as a shortcut. And I think there's a lot of folks now that are just saying, hey, I can really make time on this one. And so all we're asking is if we could you know.
I'll make a recommendation then, that what we do is, Billy, you could get it to the chief, sit down, do your analysis and data processing on that, and then, for upcoming board, we'll sit down and you can brief us on the analysis, of what you find on the data on that, and if we need to, not within the bailiwick of the chief, to decide what levels of enforcement, what appropriate action will resolve this issue. Okay?
It's great, thank you.
Thank
Really
you very
appreciate
much.
it.
Appreciate it.
All right. Anything else anybody cares to throw out to the crowd?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, first, you have priority.
So, maybe a sort of work in progress to look at. I chatted with Sue about the frequency of the all-town emails, the use of it, and ways we can engage people more. Maybe using that format, as there are 1,000 people roughly signed up for it. And I feel like understanding the flow of communication, what we choose to send out, what we don't send out, and how we can maybe maximize that. So I think this could be an ongoing discussion, but I think it's been really helpful. The more people come to meetings, the more people know what's on the agenda, and they're, voicing their concerns and coming forward. This is great for the culture of our community. So I want to look at our flow of communication. One of my questions is, when someone comes forward, maybe we're on the street chatting, directing them to email Sue or directing them to email one of us. But do we have a flow of communication to take someone's concern and offer the next step? What is the norm around that? Because I want to know what it is to make sure that I'm doing it.
There's a couple aspects to this.
Sure.
I started 18 months ago working this project to get the audio visual system upgraded, and we're just about there. We had to delay the first year because we were under a tight budget crunch. So this year we put the money in to spend on this and get this upgraded. And again, both Jeff and Billy have done a great job. Jeff Pinkston and the LT here have done a great job of getting this up to speed. I expect the next meeting this will be live, correct?
Hope so.
Hope so. So that's the plan on that. Then we also have, so as far as communication goes, Ken, I would offer to you, we have the audio-visual meetings, we have the minutes that are available, we have the agenda that is available, and the session is always open to everybody to come into town. You will find the phone numbers and the contact information, one for the town emails and for our official emails for the town of Newfields, and the phone number for Sue, but I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've given my phone number out to anybody that has an issue. So access as far as getting the whole members of the select board and or the town, I do not see that being a problem. If somebody has an issue, there's plenty of resources to get there. And concurrently, there's plenty of resources available, as far as I see it, for people to ascertain what transpired at the select board meetings and what decisions. Also, because we're also broadcasting audiovisually the Conservation Commission meetings, the planning board meetings, and the ZBA meetings. And those 3 additional meetings were all new within the past year, because we had an issue probably 14 months ago, and so pushed really hard to make sure that all town meetings are available online so people can see what's going on, so if they're watching. The resources are there. I mean, the opportunity for
My
people to
question is
ascertain.
almost like the opposite. If someone stops me on the street and says, oh, I have a concern about this going on in town, who should I reach out to? Do we have a uniform answer that we give out to say the first thing you should do is reach out to Sue?
Well, it depends on what it is. If it brings it up to you or a member of the board, then the board can address it, bring it, put it on the agenda item for the next meeting. And if it needs something that does make you tick between the 3 of us, we can say, okay, we need to talk to Brian, the road agent, or we need to talk to whoever the appropriate resource is so we can start addressing this. And that way, we're not walking into a select board meeting cold on the issue. We've had a chance to do the homework and make sure we're prepared and know all the nuances, instead of having a decision made with unintended consequences not being explored. So I think it's just, somebody says something to you, okay, bring it to the board, and we'll figure out a way to solve the problem.
Yeah, I think the flow worked well, the way you handled it, and I invited.
Sure, and some might not involve the board. It might be a question that Sue could answer directly, or the police department could answer.
All the resources are there for tagging. So,
All right.
yes, ma'am.
Sort of in keeping with that, I really appreciated you bringing up last time about the legislation that was talking about getting rid of zoning boards. Frankly, I had absolutely no idea until you brought it up, Hobie, and I thought, ooh, I agree with you, it's not a good idea.
Local control is pretty,
Exactly, and then it looked like there was an email that went out that was saying, hey, you know, the municipal board, or whatever that organization was, is suggesting that people get in touch with folks, and then that was withdrawn. That email, like, there was another email that came after that
Didn't
from
expect.
Sue that said, okay, I'm withdrawing that previous email, and I was confused.
I never actually got it.
so we had an issue there. There was confusion about the email going out as representative speaking for the board, and it was not a representation of the board itself. It was one member of the board speaking as a member of the board. And the reason it was withdrawn, because it did not have the full concurrence of the board, and the board itself was not speaking as such. So to maintain the integrity of the board, and if you're going to put out an email as a member of the board without concurrence of the whole board and chair of the board speaking for the board, then the protocol will be as a member of the select board. So to maintain that integrity of the chair, so to speak, it's not about me, it's about previous chairs, current chair, future chair. Just, that's why it was withdrawn, because it was just a language issue and a protocol issue.
Well, can you guys have a vote on it and say, all three of us?
Well, we all agreed that it was an issue, but it was just an administrative protocol issue.
And I think I changed the wording right away and
You did.
resent it out as a member of the board. This
Okay.
information is from the municipal association, and my intention is to call people's attention to the fact that this, trying to usurp control and take local control away is an issue. But my intention was for people to see that there are clear ways they can read about each thing, and they can speak their opinion and share it. So there are some people who agree with some of the things, and their opinion should be heard. But the big picture looks grim for a town like Newfields to have that much control taken away, because we're so nuanced with issues of water, with issues of traffic, with issues of our size of our school and our roads. So to have the control taken away is not good for our town. But that doesn't mean there aren't bits and pieces where people might see something they do support. So it's not that we should all be of one mind on all of it, but that we should be able to make our own decision at the town. And so the links that I put in were educational. People can click on, choose a hearing date, and they can share their position on each of the bills coming forward. Not that anyone needs to be told what their opinion is, but the big picture of all of those things look like wiping out local zoning, which for a town like ours and other small towns could be really great.
Thank you for bringing it up.
It was a protocol issue,
Just
and
about
that's
the
all it
wording.
was, Phyllis.
Yeah.
But as far as the agenda issues and the threat to the town of Newfields and other small communities is huge, and I would offer, presumptively speak for the board, that this is something that needs to be addressed. And there has been individual liaison. I've made some phone calls and talked to some folks and sent some notes, et cetera, just to try and maintain the integrity of Newfields zoning and unique and individual characteristics.
Thank you.
Anything else? Mr. Mackey? Yes, sir.
Actually, a zoning issue, and more looking down the road, it has seemed like the last several elections, like there'll be a deliberative session, and then zoning changes are announced after the deliberative session, but not subject to discussion. And then lots of discussion in town about what does this really mean? And in the last campaign I was running, I attended a lot of other town meetings and voter information nights where they covered the zoning issue at the voter information night. Or some of them may have done it at a deliberative session. So it was kind of out there, black and white, and explain what it means before you got to the booth. Because, it seems like, I know I run into it where it pops up and it's like, what does this mean? And what am I voting on? It would just seem like it would clarify things a lot for town if it, it's either candidate night or deliberative session, if it could be included. I don't know if there's administrative reason why it can't, it would seem like it would make sense to get it out in the open and in front.
As far as the deliberative session, having spoken with John, the moderator, that was not the appropriate time to address those issues as far as the zoning. I will offer to you that back in December and January, I attended all the planning board meetings and the zoning board meetings where those two amendments, 1 and amendment 2, were discussed in great detail with all the nuance and unforeseen consequences that were possible. When the planning board meeting was probably an hour and a half, with most of an hour dealing with those two amendments. And then both the planning board and the zoning board supported it unanimously, and it's quite a spectrum on the planning board. So there is the background and the information and the knowledge that was available in those meetings. Now, you can see the attendance that we have at select board meetings, and if you go to a planning board meeting or a zoning board meeting, unless you have an agenda item in front of those meetings, it's usually the members of the board and myself who attends a lot of those meetings and 1 or 2 other folks, and that's it. So I will say that there is an opportunity there that I think we can look into to do some education on those issues. Like I said, John Hayden, when it was raised with him, said this is not the place at the deliberative session to address that. But I think there's an opportunity, and I'll make a note of that, and we'll see if we can incorporate that as a board and address that to preclude folks who haven't gone to the planning board meetings or watched the planning board meetings or read the minutes from the planning board meetings, which are all available, but you know as well as I do, folks just don't do it. And so that's kind of where there's that reliance on the folks that are stepping up and volunteering their time and energy, that they're acting in good faith in the best interest of the town. So I will, your point is taken, Mike, and I will push that further.
Just a suggestion.
And I think it's an excellent suggestion, because an educated voter is what we want. We don't want people throwing darts at the ballot. But, as we all know. So, Bill.
No, it was, I thought it was great too, like in Strata, the planning board and the zoning board sat up in front of everybody, almost as though they were like candidates. They gave a presentation, and then there was an opportunity to ask them questions. And
That's an excellent
that was
idea.
lovely.
And there's no reason we can't
Yeah.
look at doing something like that in the future to preclude folks going in there and going, oh, I don't know what this means.
Yeah, it's just open communication.
Yep.
And the streaming will help that too, I'm sure.
Yeah, and like I said before, planning board, zoning board, and conservation commission are all streamed. Plus the minutes are available, and with the streaming, you can always go back 2 weeks later and look and see what transpired.
So I do want to say, for the record, that the public notices and the public hearings and the opportunities were followed as they're supposed to be. So there was nothing mysterious or no steps were skipped.
No, okay.
But agendas for meetings often are vague. And so if you're looking to come to a meeting and you look at the agenda and there's one word on there and you're not sure what that means, you might miss out on a rich discussion because it's not clear, because the way the agenda is really just an outline. And the other piece is maybe talking about letting folks know that there is a time of the year, every year, where each board is tasked with coming up with recommendations for changes. So the planning board and the zoning board reflect and say, hey, should we be talking about this? Should we look at language changes in our bylaws? And that's a routine, and maybe that's something that we could alert people more about so they can be present for those conversations and feel like they're included more. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
I just had a question, because I look for the agendas, and I don't always see them in time to be able to maybe change a schedule or something, because they sometimes come out maybe the day before. I mean, I don't know exactly when, I don't have a, haven't noticed.
So Keisha, we have a 24-hour requirement, right? Prior.
Yes,
24
planning board, it's like the second Thursday, they're set. So planning board is like the second Thursday of every month. Conservation, I believe, is like the third Monday, maybe, don't quote me on that.
I know when the
ZBA
meetings
is
are,
like-
but what I'm
No,
saying is I don't see the agendas on the website.
The other ones, we get the agenda, as soon as they give them to us, we put them on the website. That's the issue. I don't get them in advance. I mean, I get them, but I can only put them up the day I get them, so they
We can look at it.
wait.
And I'm fully supportive of more knowledge is more better. and then it'll be more bed rest if we can do it. All right. Do we have anything else from the board? Anything in from you folks who stepped forward and came to the meeting? Thank you for coming.
Okay, just ask the grant forms, need signatures on those, I don't know if you've got those or not. Sorry. The top one is just the chair, and the other one is initials for the.
For everybody. Good thing you brought the second one up.
Sorry.
It's good timing for the nice
So
new
close.
radar.
That's what I was thinking.
You point that right down that street.
One grant, it's 2 pages.
You set up that segue. Did you get all your signatures?
I did.
Thank you, sir. In that case, since nobody else wants to say anything, I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's like a speedway.
Yeah, we're talking to students. Just find the floor. Civic plus. This outsource a little bit. And so, hopefully it'll be more user friendly, and then she can post things a little bit easier, and we'll get it out there.
Yeah.
That's probably most of the problem is time, hours.
Thank you, sir.
So I want to wait this year, right?
Yep. And so that was just